All right, everybody, thanks for coming today. Again, this is Ed Crowe. Appreciate you joining us. We've got new people coming on right now, but we're going to get started. This webinar will run about 25 to 30 minutes. And today I'm going to go through Sunfire. So I'm going to give you the speaking points on about 4 slides. I promise that'll be quick. I won't belabor the point on the slides, but it's just for those who aren't fully aware of the capabilities of Sunfire. I'll show you how to log into the system, where you go, in fact, not how, but where you go to log in. And then I'm going to go on the system and show you how to record things, record the scope, record the enrollment, do an enrollment, compare plans, all that fun Medicare stuff. So having said that, let's get started. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick review, just features of Sunfire. Oh, I should mention too, before I get started, we just had a few more people come on. If you have questions, send them into the webinar. I'll answer them at the end. And again, the YouTube channel is at Crowe Medicare. If you want to watch the recording, we do record all of them. So features of Sunfire. Sunfire is a system, one of a few. We house on Connect for Medicare, which I'll talk about in a minute. Under connect4medicare.com, we house Connecture, Sunfire, and Medicare Bot. We're talking about Sunfire today, and really the reason I'm talking about them is because their capabilities from a voice standpoint seem to be a little bit ahead of the others at this point, because you can record the enrollment, you can record the scope, and do voice signature on both. So anyway, that's why we're talking about them today, but all 3 systems work. I just think Sunfire seems to be a little ahead. So we'll talk about how you can compare MA and PDP plans, and you can compare the plans that you're certified to sell, but you can also compare plans that you're not even contracted to sell. So it's nice from that standpoint. I get that question a lot. They are added, this is a new announcement that we learned yesterday, they are adding Medicare supplement enrollment in October. So right now Sunfire will quote SUPs, but you can't enroll for them, and they are adding them, and they're gonna have a lot of carriers, all the big names, that's coming in October. You can run drug comparisons on PDPs and MAPDs while you compare the plans on here, just like you can on Medicare.gov. It will save your drug list. I still get a lot of agents that run drug comparisons on Medicare.gov, but you're not saving those unless the client logged in and made a username and password. This will save all of it. So it's way more efficient than running stuff on Medicare.gov, and you can enroll the people through here. So anyway, it'll save the drug list. You can edit that drug list down the road anytime you need, maybe for 2024 AP, you're doing a renewal call for your client, you can edit that drug list. You can save provider lists because it'll check providers when you run it. Sunfire is a basic CRM, so it will save all your clients' information, and it'll save all the enrollment information. And again, on Sunfire, you can enroll clients via email, text, or voice. You can collect the scope via email, text, or voice. And you can record all calls on Sunfire. I'll show you how to do that today. It saves them for you. On Sunfire, everybody gets a dedicated phone number. So each agent has a unique phone number that you can call out from and record, or that you can have clients, prospects call into and record. So you can do outbound calls and take inbound calls. We'll talk about the importance of an inbound call when it comes to the 48-hour scope rule. So that's why you might want to have clients call you after you've talked to them briefly, but we'll get into that. Sunfire has a Pearl, and this is really underutilized, but the Pearl, the personal URL, it's a website that everybody that can log into Sunfire has. It's personalized to you, and it's a site that allows customers, it's compliant, customers can go on there and they can do everything in Sunfire you can do, but from a consumer-facing standpoint. They can quote, compare, they can enroll. If they enroll in the plan, you'd be the agent of record on that plan. And you can put your Pearl on your website, your email. It's a static URL that doesn't change. So you can access that. I'm on the demonstration, I'm going to show you where to access it. I'm not going to access mine because when you open your profile on Sunfire for yourself, I'll show you how to get the Pearl, but when you open it, it shows your social, and I don't want to show the whole world my social. So everyone has access to that. You access it at the top right corner in your profile. Last thing on that is in your profile, you can check your ready to sell status. So we get a lot of people who, and rightfully so, they get confused as to what carriers do I have and in what states. You can go in Sunfire, you can do the same thing in Connecture as well, where you click on your profile, you hit RTS reports, and it will show you every carrier you have in the states that you're ready to sell in on that. It's a really handy tool to use. For really specific detail, you'd want to call our office, but in general, if you want to get an idea of where you have United or where you have Molina or whoever it may be, you can look on the Ready to Sell report on Sunfire. Okay, obviously the people that work with us access Sunfire at no cost. Here's how you get on there. Oh, I've got a typo, obviously. I guess I forgot how to spell Medicare, but the website is connectformedicare with an E.com. connectformedicare.com. So you go to that website. That's a Pinnacle-owned site. And when you go on that site, it'll give you the choice of Sunfire, Connecture, or Medicare Bot, and you would access Sunfire through there. You will need a Pinnacle login on the Connect for Medicare with an E site, and you'll need a Sunfire login. Also, when you go into your profile, when you log in to Sunfire, make sure you add a phone number, because you have a number they'll assign you, but you got to add it. It's a function. Scroll down on Sunfire and you'll see. If you haven't done it, you need to do so. That's what allows you to take inbound calls and make outbound calls. I'm going to look and see if we have any questions before I start the demo. That was just a quick run through of capabilities. Can we have a conversation and ask questions before reading the SOA? Yes, you could, as long as you're not having benefit conversations. So, you know, you can talk to people about the appointment, about, you know, that you want to meet with them or that you want to talk to them. But if you start getting into benefits and plans, you're supposed to take the scope. All right, next question. Can Sunfire generate a drug cost report comparing drugs across plans like we can do in Medicare.gov? Yes, it does the exact same thing. And that's what I was referring to earlier, is it saves the drug lists for your clients. So yeah, it can do the exact same thing Medicare.gov does, but you don't need a username and password to do so. It's way more efficient than running stuff on Medicare.gov. And it has been for a long time, actually. Good question. Okay, looks like that's all we have for questions. So I'm going to do the demonstration now. So the hardest part of all of this for me is getting out of the PowerPoint. Let me try that. Here we go. Okay, so let's give this a try. So to get on to Sunfire, the first thing you want to do is connect for Medicare.com. That's Pinnacle's site, and that's where they house Connecture, Sunfire, and Medicare Bot. Here you go. So we're on the site. I'm glad the internet's working. It's always handy. And there are the buttons. And today we're going to try Sunfire. So connect for Medicare.com. Click on Sunfire. You will need a username and password to get in. And there it is. So there's Sunfire. So let's go over the system and talk about it. So the first thing you'll notice is these buttons here, search contacts, quote and enroll, send a scope, and reporting, are actually the same as the ones up on the menu to the left. Dashboard, that's this. Contacts, where you can search or add a new contact, quote, scope of appointment, and reports. So for example, on the contacts, if we click search contacts, you can search your existing contacts here, or if you're adding a new person, you can add them here, okay? Quote and enroll, I'll go over, but I mean, it's pretty simple. You can, oh, one thing I should mention, on the quote and enroll, you can put in a zip code and then it'll just show your plans. All right, so put in a zip code, MAPD, and then I can just do view plans. It's pretty easy. However, what is this up here? Well, if you put in their Medicare number and their date of birth, that is a limited version of marks. So it'll give you plan history. It'll show you the plan they have now and the plan they had prior to that. And it'll also show you their help level. So if you want to add that extra information, you can do that. Or if you just want to put in the zip code, just click on zip code, and then you can pull plans at the bottom. Again, if you want to send a scope, you can do so. I'm going to show you this. You can send a scope. You can email a scope to somebody, text a scope, or the complete a scope button is meant for when you're doing voice scope. So what you don't want to do is click complete a scope, do the scope and not be recording, because right now I'm not recording anything. So let's go back. Let's assume we're going to call somebody or they call us. Now, before we get into the, and we're going to call them or they're going to call us and we're going to record it because we want to do a scope and enroll them. Keep in mind the 48-hour rule for a minute. So first of all, before I get into that, if you click Start Dialer Phone, so I've gone down and gotten my number. So that's my unique number. Now, I can either have people call me on that number or I can call them with Make a Call. So if I make a call, this is where the 48-hour scope comes in. If I make a call out to somebody, okay, and I'm going to make the call and start recording, and I'm going to do the scope and do the enrollment. Remember the 48-hour scope rule. That was an outbound call. The rule is I have to have 48 hours between the scope and the enrollment. So in that scenario, when I'm calling them, I need a 48-hour period before the date on the scope, the timestamp on the scope, and the timestamp on the enrollment. However, if they call me, then that is a waiver for the 48-hour scope, and I can do the same time scope and enrollment. Hopefully that makes sense. So I call somebody, talk to them, I can say to them, hey, listen, if you're interested in the plans and want to talk about them and want to potentially enroll, call me at this number and I can record and follow all the rules and enroll you then. And if they call me on that number, it's an inbound call and I have the same time scope ability then. All right, so let's show you the example of what happens when you make a call or receive a call. So I'm doing this on my cell. It might be have some reverb here, hopefully not. Let's make a call. So we're going to call this guy, Ed Crowe. All right, so I'm going to call. Now, if I make a call, it's going to automatically start recording. So call and start recording. Let me answer it. Hello.
Hello.
All right, so I heard a voice. And what you can do is, let me mute my phone. There we go. What you can do is on this, you can either read the disclosure to them or you can play the recording instead. I'll give you an example if you play the recording.
Hello, this call is being recorded for quality assurance. Please note we do not offer every plan available in your area. Any information we provide is limited to those plans we do offer in your area. Please contact Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE to get information on all your options.
All right, you get the idea. So I can either do that or I can read it to them myself. Remember, we're recording this whole time. Let me end this for a minute. So since we're recording, I could do the scope right now. Let me give you an example of that. But remember, I called them, so it's got to be a 48-hour scope. Voice scope, and there's the scope. So on the scope, I have to read through the scope and check them off as I go. And there's nothing to read the scope for you. You would read it, but you would read it. So I'll just go through this quickly. Okay, let's do a quick example. So I'm talking to Ed right now. I'm on the phone. This is being recorded, so I can do a voice scope, no problem. Oops, last name's got to go over here. I'll just throw in, I won't bother with the address or anything. Initial method, inbound call. Fill out the information, say the day of the appointment was today. Okay, there we go. Ask them if they make their own healthcare decisions and click save. Okay, now remember, as an agent, you have to sign the scope. So I just completed the scope. I was recording it. I was supposed to be reading all that stuff to them. I didn't because I'm being lazy. But you got to go into the sign section and sign it. Because remember, the agent's got to sign the scope. So then it'll tell you success, scope is completed, signed by Ed, and you're done. All right, let me end that call. Okay, I just ended the call, so now it's not recording anymore. Now, if that same person, I want them to call me, I could be on the phone with them and they could say, hey, just call me at this number. I'll try that for a minute just so you can see it. Now, this would be an inbound call if I do this. And again, when they call me inbound, it's going to record it. go. Okay, I'm calling me. It sounds ridiculous, but I'm going to accept and start recording. Same thing with the disclosure. I can either, let me mute my phone again. I can either read it off to them or I can play the recording, and then it's going to be recording from there. So let's use this scenario. So item call me back. That's an inbound call. I can do a scope. So I click on my scope, voice scope. I won't do it again, but I would fill it out and read it to them, then complete it. So then my scope is done. So I'm all set with the scope. Then I can quote plans, talk to them about benefits. I'm recording this whole thing and I could enroll them through the system. Remember, if you're doing an enrollment, you got to be recording one of those two ways. You can always email or text a scope, but it kind of defeats the purpose of what we're talking about today. So let's show you how you would quote plans for someone. All right, so I already put in a zip code 06812. This is very easy, but you have a bunch of filters on here. You can choose by 5-star rating, Part B give back, you can choose by carrier. Notice down here where it says appointed plans only. So that means that's only going to show me and let me compare plans that I'm appointed to sell. If I uncheck that box, it's going to show me everybody, even the companies I can't sell. Okay. Now, if I want to compare plans, that's easy to do. You just click the compare and I can compare up to 3 plans at once. If I want to add medications, I can do so here. Easy to use. So you can pick the pharmacy. I'll just leave it at Rite Aid and let me put in 3 meds. We'll do a atorvastatin. We'll say I'm taking a low dosage of atorvastatin for my cholesterol, which probably is high. Let me add that. I'll add 2 more. Let's add metoprolol. Type. Okay, metoprolol we're adding. I'll say I'm taking 50 milligrams once a month. As you can see here, I'll add medication. And I'll add 1 more. Let's add Symbicort. There's Symbicort. Now, if there's a generic available, you can click that button and it will show you the generic. I'll just leave it as Symbicort. Okay, add the medication. Okay, save my pharmacy medication information so that's in there when I compare plans. Now it will show me the drug costs and I can compare the drug costs of the various plans. Now if we want to do a comparison, let's just compare 3 of them for the heck of it. Okay, I'll just pick the first 3. Also, I should have mentioned, if you want to quote regular advantage, you do it up here. If you want to quote special needs, you do it here. MA only or Part D, just on these buttons. But anyway, I chose 3 plans. I'll click the compare button. Okay, now you can look at the benefit detail or you can click on the drug cost detail and it'll give you the total drug cost, then broken out by month, by tier, by medication. So you can see on a monthly basis for every month how much it would cost them. And then it gives you the totals up top. That's on the drug cost. But on the benefit detail, I like a lot because unlike Connecture, on Sunfire, it gives you all the extra benefits like dental. It will give you hearing, so hearing aids. It'll give you information on, where's the over-the-counter? Over-the-counter, dental, things I don't always remember easily. It will give me that extra information right on this comparison. All right, so I ran the drugs, talked to the client about that, showed them the benefits. They say, yeah, you know, I really like that flex plan. All right, well, let's enroll you. Remember, I'm recording the call. So we click enroll. I didn't put doctors in. You can check doctor. You can run doctors in there as well. I forgot to say that, but you can put in doctors and see if the doctors are participating as well. It'll show you. I didn't do that, but here you can choose a PCP if you want to. I'm not going to bother. I'm going to start the application. And here we go. So I started the application. I'm recording this, so I'm compliant. I got to read to them. We're going to start the enrollment. I'll be reviewing some information, asking you several questions. Please answer clearly with a yes or no. Let me know if you have questions. Okay, check that off. Do I have your permission to record this enrollment? Remember, it notified them that you're recording the call initially. Now, though, it's asking them for permission to record the enrollment. So if they say yes, you can enroll them. If they say no, you can't enroll them. Not by phone anyway. It's important that you understand the benefits included in your plan. Would you like to review them before we continue? Sure, I would. Okay, great. If I click the review button, then there's the benefits of the plan. And as I talk about it, I can check them off. Remember, you're recording this call. If they say they don't want to review the benefits, that's fine. Click and continue. And then you've got a series of check boxes of things that you need to say for a compliant recording. And you would just read them off and click off the boxes as you go, so you know you're being compliant with your recording. Ask them if they understand the benefits included in this plan. Click yes and hit next. Who's completing this? The applicant. There's my information. Let's put my date of birth in. I'm not going to be able to complete this because I don't have a Medicare ID, but I'll get you right to that point. It's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, phone number. I'll check yes to the disclaimer. I could put an email address in here for them if I'd want. I'd recommend it because everything you put in here is going to be saved. So put in as much information as you can. Say yes, they want information by email. There I can put the address in. Okay. Oh, sorry. Are they experiencing homelessness? No, I do have a place. Is your mailing address different from your permanent address? I'll say no. No. Say I'm English. And I'll say next. Oh, and I missed something. So it's good I did that, because when you miss something, it'll tell you, oh, it requires the email. Okay. I forgot. I thought you could leave it out, but I guess you can't. Okay, there we go. So put in the email. Okay, check the box. And I think I'm good to go. There we go. All right, so at this point, then it's going to take me to the Medicare ID. I can't complete it from here because I don't have a Medicare ID. But in this case, you'd put the ID in there. Are you enrolled in state assistance? You'd say no, you'd answer that question. This part's a little tricky. So if you click this, it's going to ask you what kind of enrollment, and then you can choose the type. Is it a special election? Is it their IEP? And if you choose special election, then it gives you a huge drop down of what kind of special election is it. Okay. Effective date, and then there's some other questions at the end. You'd hit next, and then it's a page you read that just verifies they want to enroll. You read that off, and you're done. Voice enrollment. So system's pretty easy to use. I'll end the call recording now. So I ended the recording. So again, you can call them, they can call you, and then you just work through Sunfire like you normally would, do the scope, do the enrollment, and you compare plans and you can enroll them. You can search all your customers in here. It will have their drug lists. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy to use, and it saves all the information. It saves the recording for 10 years, saves your scope. It's compliant with everything that you do, and it kind of makes it so you got to check off the boxes and read through everything so your recording is compliant as well with the information you covered. I'm trying to think of any other points. Let's see if we have questions. I'm kind of drawing a blank on what else we might have. Okay, so we do have a lot of questions. Let me start reading over them. When you send your Pearl out, it seems that it sends the phone number to contact as Pinnacle and not ours. No, you can change it to yours in your profile. So by default, if you don't change and update your profile, it will put Pinnacle's number, but you can add your number in the profile so it's your number, not Pinnacle's. However, even if you didn't do that and they did an enrollment, you'd still get credit for it. But you definitely would want to change that to your number. Do you have to fill out all that info like their address when doing the scope? Yes, you should. It doesn't require you to do it, but you should. Did SOA require date completed before you wait the 48 hours? Yeah, it'll let you, Roy, I didn't mean to say your first name out loud, sorry. It will let you complete the scope. It won't make you wait the 48 hours. But you got to know that in your head, that if it's an outbound call you're making and you're recording this thing, rules say you got to have a 48-hour wait. That's why I recommend talk to the client briefly, kind of prep them on what you want to do, and then have them call you. It's an inbound call, you're good to go then. Okay, next question. If you do the scope 48 hours in advance and then talk to them a few days later, is there a way to attach that previous scope with the current call? Yes, because you can just search and bring up that client and it's going to show that the scope was completed and you can complete the enrollment. So yes, it would connect the dots on that for you. When we're at the point of reviewing benefits of the plan we are enrolling them in, is there an option to email a summary of benefits to the client? Yes, it's a great question, and yes, there is. You can email a variety of things, including the summary of benefits to the client through the system. Somebody said, this was awesome. So glad I attended this webinar. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Can you do a face-to-face enrollment? Can you do face-to-face enrollments in WellCare? Yes, I mean, WellCare certainly allows face-to-faces. Maybe that's not what you meant to ask. So if you have need more clarification, let me know. All right, I have a voice over IP phone with unlimited recording. How will I use this? Well, you don't need it really. If you have I mean, it would be nice, I guess, to have your client's app and everything on the same platform. But if you got a voice over IP and you're recording everything anyway, you wouldn't need to use the recording on this as well. You'd still want to use this system though, and I think you'd probably want to use it with the call, because remember what it's doing is if you're recording, when you do this system, it's having what you talk about on the recording be compliant. It's walking you through it. But I assume you could do a couple sample ones, see everything that you need to have, and do your own compliant one. But what I like about this is it reads the disclaimer, and then it tells you what the minimum thing you have to do, which I just went through, is like talk about certain disclaimers, ask if they want to review benefits. It makes it so when you record and do the enrollment, it is a compliant one. Somebody asked the question, would you recommend entering all leads that you may receive and create a profile for each? You know, I don't know. I mean, depends on what kind of lead, I guess. If it's just a lead you received and it's a very cold one, I don't think I'd go loading all those into Sunfire, quite frankly. You might want to load those into a regular CRM. Okay, the person with the question clarified. Okay, can you do face-to-face enrollments in Sunfire? Yes, you could. But remember, Sunfire is going to make you either record it or they're going to make you text or email a scope in for a signature. But you could use it face-to-face. Does emailing the client a summary of benefit? Oh, let's see. Does emailing the client a summary of benefits satisfy the requirements of reviewing it? No, it does not. You have to give them the option. You want to have that recorded. And if they decline, they decline. But if not, then you can pull up the summary right there and go over it with them. Good question, though. All right, I think last question, it looks like. Nope, a couple more coming in. An MA plan, how is the PDP navigated via the site? That was just on the top left, that button. It said either Advantage or MAPD, PDP, MA only, special needs. If you click any of those buttons, then it'll just show those plans. So PDP would work the exact same way. You'd put in the drug list, click the PDP button, and then it's going to compare all the PDPs. So same thing, you just click that little button. Could you have a paper SOA and upload to Sunfire? Yes. It looks like that's, oh, can you review how I use my own phone number? So just to clarify your question, if you're talking about your own Sunfire phone number, they'll assign you one. So when you make an outbound call, it'd be from that number, or when people call in, they'd have to call that number. But you can't take your own phone number and put it on Sunfire. Sunfire is going to assign you a number. Hopefully that answered your question. Somebody asked a little maybe off the topic here, but Humana plan, Honor, VA plan, any issues to consider? No. The Honor VA, the give back plans, the VA give back plans are a great option for people who are on VA. If they want to just use VA, they can, but at least they're getting money off their Part B premium. Or maybe they want to use the benefits of the Advantage for non-VA doctors. So yeah, it's a lot of enrollments in VA only, MA only, VA, Medicare Advantage plans. Somebody said, can you forward the call? Okay, hang on. Can you forward the call back recording number to your biz phone number? No. Maybe I'm misunderstanding the question, but the answer from how I'm reading it, no. All right, it looks like that's all we have. Thank you for, oh, one more. I'll take two more. Here we go. And then I don't want to keep this forever. If you have other questions, I guess just email me or call me. When will the 2024 plans upload to Sunfire? They will upload on October 1st. And will there be a toggle between 2023 and 2024? Yes, there will be, and they'll be uploaded on the 1st. That's the earliest they're allowed to put them on there. Is there any delay in these applications being processed? How do I track the progress of the application? Do I use Vantage with Humana? Okay, so no, there is no delay in them being processed. You would track these like you normally would through the portals of the carrier. You certainly will get updates from Sunfire on status, but you know, it's the same process. It's like you're doing an app through any method. It's being routed to the carrier. Do I use Vantage with Humana? You can. Vantage is Humana's system for enrollment, but you could also enroll with Humana through Sunfire. So that's absolutely up to you. You wouldn't use both for the same person anyway. All right. It looks like that's what we have. I really appreciate everybody coming on today. That's a good call. I hope it helped seeing how the system works. It is easy. It really is. One thing I would say, I strongly recommend go in the system. So get access, get username and password, and go mess around with the system and just experiment in there and try it. That's what you need to do. We get way too many calls of people who are saying, I'm trying to do an enrollment in Sunfire. And I'll say, well, you know, how many, you know, have you been in there before? No, this is my first time. I would practice a little first. Get comfortable. Once you get comfortable, it is super easy to use. It's really not very complicated. It's pretty straightforward. Somebody said, is there any downside to using the system? No. Oh, and last thing, I should have put this on there too. You can complete your HRAs through here. Sunfire, and with even Humana is added now, so all the major carriers, Sunfire will port you right to the HRA once the enrollment's done. So yes, to answer that question, HRAs can be completed with almost all the carriers through here, all the major ones, including Humana now. No, other than that, is there a downside? No, it's just a method to do an enrollment, and it's flexible and allows you to use voice, and it does all the hard stuff for you, such as recording, giving you the scripting, all that kind of stuff. All right, well, appreciate everybody coming on. I hope the demonstration helped. But again, try the system out, go practice a little, get familiar with it, and I think you'll find it's pretty easy to use. Thanks for coming on. I hope everybody has a great day and a great week. Thank you.